The battlefield stretched endlessly under twin suns, a wasteland of scorched earth and shattered war machines. The Treaty of Corvash had been signed 3 days prior, ending the bloodiest conflict the galaxy had seen in centuries. Now, cleanup crews from a dozen species picked through the wreckage, searching for survivors and salvageable technology. Dr. Mira Lang moved among them with practiced efficiency, her medical scanner sweeping across the carnage. Most species had recalled their personnel, declaring the wounded beyond this point as acceptable losses. But humans had a reputation for stubbornness, and Mira embodied it completely. Her scanner pinged. Life signs faint but present, emanating from a crater 50 meters ahead. Dr. Lang, her Centaurian assistant, chittered nervously through the comm. That signature matches a Cathraxian warrior. We should leave it. Protocol clearly states. Protocol can wait, Mira interrupted, already moving toward the crater. There's still life there. You don't understand. That's not just any Cathraxian. The signature size indicates it's a Karenix. They're apex predators bred specifically for warfare. It has killed hundreds, maybe thousands. Even wounded, it could tear you apart before your nerves could register pain. Mira paused at the crater's edge, looking down at the broken creature below. Karenix was a nightmare given form, even in its current state. Its chitinous armor, once gleaming obsidian, was cracked and scorched. 4 of its 6 limbs bent at unnatural angles. Bioluminescent blood pooled beneath it, mixing with the irradiated soil. Its mandibles, each capable of shearing through titanium, clicked weakly. But what caught Mira's attention were its eyes. 12 compound eyes that still held a spark of consciousness, of awareness. They tracked her movement as she descended into the crater. Doctor, please. No other species would do this. There's a reason it was left behind. Its own kind abandoned it. This creature represents everything the Cathraxians used to terrorize the frontier worlds. Then I'm glad I'm human, Mira replied, reaching the creature's side. Karenix's eyes followed her every movement. Its vocal synthesizer crackled, producing sounds that her translator struggled to process. Pain. Warning. Confusion. Why? Easy there, Mira said softly, activating her medical kit. I'm going to help you. The creature's good limbs tensed, ready to strike despite its agony. In its world, mercy was unknown. Weakness meant death. An enemy approaching meant finishing what the battle had started. But the human didn't attack. Instead, she deployed an emergency medical field generator, creating a sterile bubble around them. Her hands moved with surprising gentleness as she assessed its injuries. Multiple fractures, severe hemorrhaging, radiation poisoning, neural damage, she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. You're a mess, friend. Karenix made a sound somewhere between a hiss and a growl. Its translator finally engaged. Why, human, help, enemy, killer. Mira looked up at those dozen eyes, seeing the genuine bewilderment there. She smiled sadly. Because you're hurt. That's reason enough, illogical. I have ended many of your kind. Probably, Mira acknowledged, beginning to stabilize its fractured limbs with molecular bonding gel. And I've treated soldiers who've probably ended many of yours. War makes killers of us all. But the war's over now. Cathraxians do not show mercy. Weakness is death. This is known. Good thing I'm not Cathraxian, then. Mira injected a broad-spectrum analgesic adapted for Cathraxian biochemistry. She'd studied every species in the coalition, preparing for exactly these kinds of situations. Among humans, we have an old saying, first do no harm. When someone's broken and bleeding in front of me, I don't see enemy or ally. I see a patient. The medication began taking effect, easing some of Karenix's agony. For the first time in 3 days, the pain that had been its entire universe began to recede. The human worked with focused intensity, repairing what could be repaired, stabilizing what couldn't. Your species is strange, Karenix managed. Its translator working more smoothly now. Foolish. Yeah, we get that a lot. Mira cauterized a severe laceration, her movements precise despite the creature's intimidating presence. We're also stubborn, compassionate to a fault, and apparently unable to leave well enough alone. Hours passed. The twin suns tracked across the sky. Mira's assistant had long since stopped trying to convince her to leave. Other cleanup crews gave the crater a wide berth, watching the impossible scene with a mixture of horror and fascination. A human. Treating a Karenix. Willingly. As Mira worked, Karenix observed her with growing confusion. In its species evolution, there had been no room for such behavior. The weak were culled. The injured were abandoned. Resources went only to those who could fight. Yet this small, fragile human risked everything for something that had been bred to kill her kind. Why? Karenix asked again, but this time the question carried different weight. Not confusion, something closer to wonder. Mira paused, wiping sweat from her brow. She looked directly into those 12 eyes. Because someone has to be the first. The first to show mercy. The first to break the cycle. The first to choose life over death. She resumed her work. The war's over, Karenix. What we do now determines what kind of peace we'll have. I choose to start it by healing, not hating. Karenix was silent for a long moment, processing this. Its species had conquered 17 worlds, subjugated dozens of civilizations, perfected the art of war over millennia. Yet they had never encountered anything quite like humanity's peculiar brand of courage, not the courage to fight. Many species had that, the courage to show compassion in the face of certain danger, the courage to see beyond what something was bred to be, the courage to offer mercy when none was deserved. You are foolish, Karenix said finally, its translator carrying a note of something that might have been respect. But perhaps that is not weakness, Mira grinned. Now you're getting it. By the time she finished, Karenix's life signs had stabilized. It would live, though recovery would take months. As medical transport arrived to evacuate the alien warrior, Karenix's eyes remained fixed on the human who had saved it. Dr. Mira Lang, it said, committing the name to memory. This debt, it changes things. You have shown me that strength can exist without cruelty, that power can choose mercy. Mira simply nodded, exhausted but satisfied. Go heal, live, and maybe tell others what you learned today. As the transport lifted away, Mira's assistant finally approached. That was the most terrifying and inspiring thing I've ever witnessed. No other species would have done that. Mira looked up at the twin suns now setting on the horizon. Then I'm glad we're human. Across the galaxy in the weeks and months that followed, a story began to spread. A story of a human medic who dared to treat the untreatable, who showed mercy to a creature bred only for war, who proved that peace wasn't just the absence of fighting, but the active choice to heal. And in the recovery wards of a Cathraxian medical facility, a warrior named Karenix began to understand that perhaps there were forms of courage its species had never considered. Perhaps the humans, foolish and fragile as they were, knew something about strength that the rest of the galaxy had forgotten. Perhaps mercy was the greatest courage of all.